Hello everyone and welcome to another Factorio mod spotlight. I'm Exterminator and thank you so much for joining me today. And I do want to give a quick little apology for missing last week's mod spotlight. I was actually trying to do this mod, but there were a couple issues that I ran into with it, and I ran out of time, so we had to push it till this week. But I'm very excited for it. What we are covering is the Stasis Mine mod. So this one has been around for a good while, and it's made by Muppet, who is a big part of the Factorio community and a lot of streams and a very good mod maker. And what this does is this adds some ways for you to basically put things into stasis or freeze them in time, I suppose you could think of it. And it basically stops all actions with whatever is affected by it, and it stops them from taking damage. So this is kind of based off of the Protoss stasis trap in StarCraft 2. And so if you've played that, you know what that is. It works pretty similar. So we have a few examples we're going to show here. It adds 3 different stasis weapons of sorts. So it adds a stasis mine, which is just a mine that triggers just like any other mine, but it causes stasis. And you can see there it puts everything into a temporary stasis with them becoming frozen and immune from damage, but it also just doesn't allow them to do anything either. And then it adds a rocket version and also a grenade version. Now, important note here is that this does affect your own stuff. So like if this stasis mine were really close to my turrets, and they are firing, it would put them into stasis and then they would stop firing, but they also could not take damage. So it literally just kind of freezes everything. Now, obviously you can't really use this in turrets. You could combine this with like the rocket turret mod and shoot rockets out of it if you want to go that route. But we are going to test a few things here. So first I'm going to go ahead and drop a few biters over here on the right hand side here. Also, this is kind of nice to show you. If you type in editor, you can pull the editor and then drop in enemies, and this is how I get enemies into some of my spotlights, is just kind of doing stuff like this. Pretty straightforward. You can drop them, kind of a sandbox dealio here. So I'm gonna just do that and then come back over here and we'll go ahead and aggro them, and if they run into this, then it should freeze them and we can kind of see what happens. So I'm gonna bring them over here, and some of them may die to the turrets first, but you can see, so when it went off, it kind of just froze everything. Now, they obviously some got through, so I could show this and test it. And you can see it froze me as well. And it freezes for a decent amount of time here. I'm actually still frozen. In fact, it may just be a permanent effect at this point because I can't get out of it. So I can't obviously do anything. Everything else is still happening. So it's a very long stasis period there, actually. Much longer than I expected. I hadn't done it on myself yet. So you can see it freezes for a good amount of time. Now this does work on other things as well. So this will work on vehicles. So if I quickly just get out here, I'm going to go ahead and switch to a rocket. I'm going to kind of drive this tank, get it going here. I'm going to hop out and I'm going to shoot it with a rocket. And you can see it freezes everything. It did hit the track. That doesn't really do much because obviously track is stationary anyway. But you can see now if I shoot this, it can't be damaged. So nothing can be damaged through this. So you could get some interesting combat mechanics with this, which could be fun. You know, you like put biters into stasis, which maybe gives your turrets time to get repaired or ammo refilled. Obviously the biters can't take damage, but it would still kind of give you like some breathing room. Another cool thing is this does work on trains as well. So I'm going to attempt to demonstrate this. It could be a little difficult just because I have to kind of get the train going and then hop out before it actually gets to where it needs to go here. So I'm actually going to actually stand out of it, and then we're going to do that. And I'm going to let it get going a little bit here, and then I'm going to shoot it. Okay, well, that was a poor example because the rocket moves so slowly. But it would stop it in its tracks, essentially, and then it does resume back at its previous speed. So, you know, the train can be going max speed, you stop it in its tracks, and then it just resumes once it's, you know, kind of out of stasis. It resumes back to its full complete speed. We can actually give it a little more of a test here real quick and just kind of show you. So I'm just going to give this a temporary station, and so yeah. You know, obviously difficult to demonstrate this type of thing, but you get the idea. It would freeze in its tracks, and then it would resume, and it does keep its schedule, is what you can see. Obviously it was here, but it did maintain it didn't get rid of this when it froze. And then again, you can have Spidertrons and stuff affected by it, which brings us into the settings. So Spidertrons affected. So it says if Spidertrons are affected by Stasis effect or not, Spidertrons cannot trigger mines in Factorio, but obviously you could grenade it or rocket it. Trans affected. And then per player, there's nothing in startup settings, meaning you would have to change these. You'd have to restart your game to have these take effect. Things affected, everything. You can change this. Stasis time in seconds. So if you want to lower it, if you don't want a super long one like it was for me, you could lower it. You could increase it as well. You could increase the effect radius, and then you can disable each individual thing. So if you don't want grenades, but you want landmines and rockets, you can go that route as well, which is pretty cool. And then lastly, in terms of the tech, there is just a tech for each one, and it is purple science on all of them. Same price on all of them as well. So kind of mid-late game, but very, very interesting mod. Very cool weaponry and some fun things you can do with this. I'm sure you guys will think of a bunch of things that I haven't either. And yeah, apologies for the terrible training demonstration, but by the time I close out of the menu, and then the rocket and grenade throw so slowly that it's kind of hard to actually hit it. But you could do it, I'm sure, if you were well prepared for it. So that's going to do it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you appreciate and enjoyed. And if you have any thoughts, questions, leave them below. There is a link, of course, in the mod description, in the video description, sorry, where you can get to the mod portal and check this out. And Muppet has put a ton of other info in there and bullet points. It's very well described as well. So check it out there. And until next time, I look forward to seeing you all, and do take care.